Hello and welcome to the first edition of the new format, Hughes at 10. This is going to be every Sunday night, I hope. I'm probably going to be driving Catherine to distraction with all these live shows, but it's worth it to make sure that there are people out there who are still sane, who actually care about their country and care about their children's futures and care about our standing in the world and care about having enough food next month. So welcome, one and all. If you're watching this, can you please just let me know on the chat stream? Oh, there it is. It's popped up. Oh, wow. Okay, brilliant. I've got loads of messages. I didn't realise. Phil says, good evening. Derek says, what goes on here then? Well, it's me talking to you, Derek. How you doing, mate? We've got Chris Kopak there saying evening. Derek says, what's the story? Morning glory. Hello, says John Barleycorn. Hi, says Too Much 77. Oi, oi, says Stephen. Good evening, says Nathalie. And John Sundell says, hi from Sweden. Hi, Sweden. And good evening from Germany. We've got Pete Robbins down there. We've got Patrick McCarthy. Same time as Nick Abbott. Tough choice. That's fighting sort where I come from, mate. Gaz says hi from Liverpool, which is where I'm from. This is beautiful River Mersey behind me, as you can see. It's a green screen. And finally, back where it should be. Johan. Yeah, that's what she said. And then he says, I can't have meetings at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Fair enough. Gaz says, yeah, I'm out in the afternoon. Evening, Graham and all, says John O'Sullivan. Diane Bennett says, thanks so much, Graham. Doesn't matter how helpless we may feel, you can still carry on shining and giving us hope. One day this madness will end. It has to. The reason being 73% of the young people who voted in the fraudurendum voted to remain. And I doubt there's going to be too many young people looking at what's going on now and going, oh yeah, this is great. We should keep doing this forever. David says, good evening, fellows. Phil Spicer says, hi all. Johan says, my thought on why they can't agree on a deal is not the state-sponsored companies, it's the workers' rights. Got a hello from Garston, from Pedro there. We've got Thomas Page saying, yeah, I get to watch live. Woo! Got Steve Crabtree saying, well done. Moaz saying, good to hear from you, mate. Always good to hear from you, Mo. You can actually see in real time my things moving around, so you can see where I'm at. I've lost where I was. Oh, god damn it. Anyway, well, there I am. Salut from France, from Sarah Jane. Oh, my word. Hello from Cambridge, from Tony Hawkins. John Barleycorn says, the sofa looked much more comfortable. Yeah, it was. To be honest with you, the only reason why I'm down here, really, is I've literally just got off the train from Liverpool and I had all the stuff set up already for Hughes round. And I couldn't be bothered moving the lights and everything upstairs to actually sit in the lounge. So maybe next week I'll do it from the lounge because it's a bit easier than trying to do all this technical wizardry to make it look like I'm in Liverpool. I'm not. Chaz says, great to see you. What? David says, anyone who can watch plus 70,000 people die in his first year of office, hundreds of thousands lose their jobs, choose no deal Brexit, admitted would hurt the economy and worsen the pandemic, is a psychopath. And I echo every word that David is saying there. Boris Johnson is a fucking psychopath. And he needs to be stopped in the same way that Hannibal Lecter needed to be stopped. In the same way that Norman Bates needed to be stopped. Because the psychopaths, if you just let them keep doing what they do, lots of people are going to die. And lots of people have already died in the United Kingdom. And I think one of the positive things that's come of today, actually, is the fact that this bullshit, we've got to get it organised by Sunday. Got to get it organised by Sunday. This was his plan on Wednesday, I think, or Tuesday or Wednesday last week. Boris Johnson just announces arbitrary deadline. And we had a discussion about this on Hughes Round. We were saying, but like it's completely arbitrary. He just made up a deadline. He didn't have to have it as Sunday. He didn't have to have it as today. Could have had it any time. So he just says, "Oh, Sunday, we're gonna have a deadline." And then I'm gonna meet up with Ursula von der Leyen, and I'm gonna call up the leader. I'm gonna call up Macron. I'm gonna call up Merkel, and I'm gonna get them on board for whatever the bloody hell he wants to do. And Ursula von der Leyen said to him, "So what new ideas have you got?" And he was like, I haven't got any. And we don't like Michel Barnier. And she's like, well, tough. He's the negotiator. He's doing a good job for us, and you don't pay him. So then he's on the phone. Can I speak to Angela Merkel? Could you imagine being the person who answered the phone to Boris Johnson? Hello, who's this? It's Boris. Boris who? Boris Johnson. Oh? I want to speak to the Chancellor. I want to speak to... It just sounded like one of those mad people who call up the operator and demand to speak to the Queen. You're like, what? Why should we put you through? I need to speak to her about the EU, the withdrawal, the deal. It's not a deal. It wasn't a deal. We said it wasn't a deal, but it was a deal, but it wasn't a deal. It was a deal. But anyway, you need to talk to her about it. It's got nothing to do with her. She doesn't represent the EU. Her country is part of the EU, but she represents Germany. And when it comes to trade negotiations, you cede all of your sovereignty into one. So instead of having a market of, in the case of Germany, 80 million people, or in the case of Britain, 66 million people, in the case of, I don't know, Belgium, like 7 million, how many people live in Belgium? Sorry, Belgium. I'm not up on my Belgium stats, I should look that up. You pool all those people, you pool all the sovereignty, you pool all the power, you pool all of the finance and the economies, so you add it all up, it comes to like 17 point something trillion dollars. And then you say, okay, let's talk, let's negotiate a deal. Because you've got the upper hand, because you've got all this. So Boris Johnson's like, hi, I want to talk to Macron. Can I talk to Macron? You could just imagine him, couldn't you, speaking French, speaking English in a French accent, hoping that would make it easier for them to understand what he was goddamn saying. Can I speak to Monsieur Macron? And his, the person answering the phone was just like, no. Put the phone down. See you later. And so we get to today. Today was supposed to be the no deal day. And as it was reported in a lot of the more sensible newspapers yesterday, or at least one sensible newspaper yesterday, what was going to happen if we left, if it was definite no deal? Well, the economy will go off the cliff tomorrow. The pound would lose about 25% of its value, and companies would take a massive, massive hit. The Bank of England would go into negative territory, so essentially setting interest rates at a negative level. So, it just bonkers. So he's basically been playing chicken, and he's been the first to budge, because he's playing chicken and he's in a little go-kart that he's made himself. Do you know what I mean? His granddad's made for him, and it's just made of wood and stuff, and he's sitting there going, I'm going to get you. And the EU is a freight train coming towards him along the tracks, and it can't be stopped. It can't be moved onto another track. It can't turn left, can't turn right. It's on a track. And Boris has blinked first, hasn't he? He's jumped out the way. Destroyed his wooden cart has been destroyed. And so it looks like we're going to get the deal that I've been saying since forever is going to be a bit of a shit deal for Britain. Of course it will. And he'll sell everything out that he needs to sell out in order to get this deal, because at the end of the day, the fishermen don't pay his wages. The City of London does. And the City of London is not happy about being strung out to dry for a part of our economy that's worth, I read today, 3 times less than Games Workshop. Warhammer 40k. The fishing industry is worth 3 times less than that, apparently. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, so Boris Johnson, psychopath and idiot, and currently Prime Minister. So we need to sort that out. We need to sort that out as soon as possible. We need to get this terrible, terrible government out. And I've got a few ideas of how we can do this. I think that Scotland leaving the Union will force a general election. I think it will force a general election, because how can you go on in a parliament where 80 or so of the seats, which were Scottish seats, are gone? I don't think you can go on like that, can you? I don't know. Do you have to have another election? Then again, the EU didn't have another election, did it? When Britain moved out, and it was 73 seats. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's put a pin in that. Let's come back to that idea. But we need to get him out. We can't go till 2024 like this. I had a full head of hair at the beginning of this year. Honest. Right. Evening from Bordeaux, says Eddie. Oh, bonjour. Bonsoir. Sorry, bonsoir. Redundant Squash says, evening, everyone. Patrick Baker says, everything's going to be fine, Farage, saying, no deal, minimum disruption in Boris. Says, we will prosper mightily. Phew, panic over. Yes, we will prosper mightily. He's gonna make a Titanic success of it. Chaz says, great to see you. Have a beer. I am. Okay, I'm gonna have a beer. Cheers, Chad. Sugarfee says, hey Graham, hello all. Moa says, thanks mate. Johan says, cheers. Another bonsoir from France, from Helen. Bonsoir, French people, I love you. Well, English people in France, I guess, as well. I love you too. You've escaped. Chris Kopak says, feel really reassured after watching Raab's recent interviews. So Dominic Raab was on Andrew Marr this morning, I think, and he was basically it was just a car crash of an interview where everything that was said to him was put back to him, and he was just like, yeah, but I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it. Anyway, so hi from Scotland, the future ex-treaty union signatory. Hey, that's some Glasgow kiss. Welcome back, Graham. Hope your dad is okay. That's from Josie. Yeah, he's all right. He just turned 84 this weekend, but you know he's all right. He's all right. He's got vascular dementia. It's not an ailment that you get better from, but he's happy, he's cheerful, he's you talk to him and he just bursts out laughing all the time, which is good, I guess, because other people with the same ailments go the other way, get very angry and start attacking things, but he hasn't done that, which is good. But yeah, and it's been really crap this year because I haven't been able to spend much time with him because obviously I've been here in Durham and I'm not supposed to travel, but we get end of life care dispensation now, so I can. So I'll try and go over as much as I can. And at the end of the day, I've had COVID. My mum's had COVID. My dad's had COVID. So it's not like I'm gonna give them it again. I don't think, not for another few months. I'll tell you what though, a lot of people on the train not wearing bloody masks. A lot of young people on the train not wearing bloody masks. There was a couple of girls just having a conversation, and all the way to Manchester. No mask on, either of them, and the ticket inspector didn't even say, hey, aren't you supposed to be wearing something on your face? A bit annoying. Can't listen to Johnson anymore. I can't bear his voice. Gaz, I'm so with you on that. He's got the most annoying voice in the world. It's not me that originally said this, but he sounds like a cross between Billy Bunter, from the Billy Button school days or whatever, and a Dalek that is in his delivery. It's like, I can't midnight, but also, I just hate him. I just hate his stupid face. Tell you what, there's this thing like, I don't want to kill anyone and I wouldn't wish death on anyone or anything like that. But if he was let's say he was in a predicament, let's say he was hanging by his nails off the side of a cliff and there was no one else around, I would really struggle to give him a hand. I would really struggle. And I don't know if I'd hate myself afterwards for not helping him out, but I think that I would hate myself afterwards if I did. Does that make me a bad person? Probably. Oh well. It's all Brexit's fault. I was a nice person until this Brexit thing came along. Thank you. This video is excellent. That's from Regan in Florida. Hi, Regan. We got Elizabeth Bennett saying, hi, Graham. Hello. Darren saying, hope I had a good weekend. Yeah, it was nice. See my mum and dad. Got some cake made by wonderful Laura Worthington from Laura's Little Bakery in Liverpool, who famously once told Simon Cowell and the whole of the X Factor lot to fuck off when they were asking for free cake off her. At the time, she was a single mother of 3, barely getting by selling cakes, and she gets an email off the production company that makes X Factor, and they say, hey, we're at the Echo Arena, can we have some free cakes, please? And she's like, get to fuck. Which I love. I respect her so much. Good evening, all rejoiners. Yes, and we've been chatting this week about the possibility of doing a Rejoin March on March the 13th. Get it right, Graham. Saturday, March the 13th. Now, we might not be able to do it because of COVID. It just depends how it goes with the vaccine and how the take-up works and how much we've gone back to normal by then. It might also depend on what absolute nutty shite Priti Patel dreams up to stop us protesting against her tyrannical government. But if we can go ahead, forget her. To be honest with you, the Tories don't want us to do it. We're just going to do it anyway. The only thing that would make me want to postpone it would be COVID, would be if we hadn't got a handle on it. I don't mind marching with masks on, but I'd rather be in a situation where we know for sure that if anyone comes on that march, they will not get COVID-19, because I don't want to live with that. I don't want to live with putting something together where some people come and they end up dying as a result of coming to a march. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to be sensible about it. But I think the first available date, looking forward, the next couple of months that we can possibly do this, we March the 13th. So I've put together a website, rejoineu.uk. I tried to get rejoin.eu, but it's owned by like a company in Sweden that makes parts that join up computer parts or something like that, and I'm like, okay, can I buy this off you? But they haven't got back to me. But so in the meantime, I've got rejoineu.uk. So I'm just putting that website together. Probably don't go there yet because it's not finished. It's all half written. But yeah, I'm going to be putting that together and working out stewards and the stage bus and PA and all the other nonsense. Oh, and informing the police that we're going to do it. You don't have to ask permission, you just have to inform the police. Okay, back to your messages, quickly. Apparently, we're going to arm our fish so they can defend themselves against being molested by the French. So this is great. So we've said we're going to send the gunboats out. We're going to send gunboats, as it was in at least 2 newspapers, they said, used the word gunboats to make sure people weren't stealing our fish. And as I just put on Twitter, we would look a lot less hypocritical, cock-juggling thundercunts if on the back of that we said, okay, but we are going to give back all the things we stole from other countries and that are in the British Museum and other museums, I guess, around the country, and maybe the Queen's crown, which has a whopping great diamond in it that we stole from India. So maybe we give all that stuff back, because we've got to respect the sovereignty of all these nations and their inanimate objects, or, you know, stuffed dodos or whatever. And in return, we get to say, this fish is ours. Be standing there, I don't know, swimming there in the water, in the middle of winter, in the North Sea. You're there in your diving suit with your goggles on, looking, oh, the fish, come here, fish, because the invisible line in the water. Just come to me, little fish. And the fish comes closer. And if you catch it just on this side of the invisible line, then it's yours. It's yours. And you, as a British person, you've caught that British fish, and a British person can eat it, because that can't happen any other way. If it's a foreigner who grabs that fish, right? I don't know how to fish, and grabs that fish, right? You can't eat it. You can eat it, but it will taste terrible, because it's a foreigner who's caught it. And if it's a British person who goes over the line and catches that fish, it's a foreign fish. It's a British person catching a foreign fish, and it'll taste awful. It'll taste like herring, probably, because that's all we've got in our waters. Anyway, the Gaz Rileys, they're 11.5 million in Belgium. I should have my book. If I have a copy of my book here, I could just look up all the data, although it is 10 years out of date now. For each country in the world. Well, the first 133 that I visited. Peter Zurich says, why are we allowing the bloated moron to wreck the UK economy for his own purely selfish reasons? We must stop him somehow. Yes, Peter, I couldn't agree more. We need to stop him. But I guess meeting up once a week on Hughes at 10 and all chatting about it is a good way to start. I guess, got to start the ball rolling. We've got to get rid of these clowns, and I'm very happy to say I want to get rid of them. I've got no qualms with saying, oh, what about democracy? Hey, what about democracy? Well, listen, mate. First of all, democracy isn't pulling Scotland out of the EU against its will. That's not democratic. Secondly, democracy isn't changing the constitution of a nation on 50 plus 1% of the population. What? No, it's got to be at least 66%. It's got to be a supermajority. I don't think that's fair. Or at least 60%. It's got to be something a bit more than 50-50. You're not allowed to lie. I don't think it's democratic to lie to the electors and tell them fibs and then expect them to vote the right way. I don't think it's very democratic that the Tory party in the last election got 43% of the vote and yet got 80 more seats than everyone else. What? So yeah, I don't think that's very fair at all. So I would like to see a better democracy, and I think the only way to get there at the moment is to have some serious words about the democracy that we're currently living with. Mo says, love the humour. Well, good. I'm trying to keep chipper because, you know, it's fucking awful. Like, it's really, really bad. It's the middle of a pandemic and we're putting trade sanctions on ourselves. And we're threatening to point gunships at our NATO allies. Damon says, I see police drop charges of an unnamed MP. I wonder who the Farquhar that was. The Farquhar. Wonder if he'll carry on keeping a low profile. Yes, with his mark of Cain. And why did they drop the charges? Oh, the Metropolitan Police, don't forget, is run by Cressida Dick, who is part of the Soggy Biscuit Brigade. She went to private school. Of course she went to private school. She's in a position of authority in the United Kingdom. So, yeah, I don't really trust her. I've got to sound like a complete bloody maniac now, don't I? I don't trust the police. I never thought I'd be here. I never thought that I'd be sitting here going, I want a revolution. I don't trust the police. I don't trust any of them. They're all in it together. It's all a massive conspiracy. Oh my God. Sorry, I just touched my mic there. I've been trying not to do that. Sorry. Right. Sad to say, this is from Johan. Sad to say, and as an EU member, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Too much ugly words from the UK about Europe in the last few years. World War II is over. Johan, I couldn't agree with you more. The moment that the people of this country realise that World War II is over, it will be a glorious, glorious day, because thousands, millions of people living in this country who are still fighting World War II. A war they didn't fight in, by the way, in their fucking heads. And it's because they grew up with a generation where the parents or the grandparents fought in the war. And they've always felt like they've never had a chance to show their mettle, to be able to show that they're just as honourable and just as wonderful as their forebears. And I guess, I can see why they feel that way. But instead of trying even harder to be a good person, instead of trying even harder to fight fascism and Nazism and stamp out extreme right-wing views wherever they may rear their ugly head, they've gone the other way. They've gone, oh yeah, let's embrace racism. Yeah, let's be xenophobic. I hate gay people. Why? I don't know. I just don't like them. And you're like, oh my God, this is where we are. We're in 2020, and yet Britain is still living in 1941. And it's embarrassing. Even today, one of the newspapers, I think it was the Mail, it must have been the Mail, it's always the fucking Mail, isn't it? Talked about Merkel crawling over broken glass, which is just so disgusting in so many ways. First of all, it's disrespectful to, obviously, Germany and German people and Merkel. But over that, Kristallnacht happened in fucking Germany. You don't make allusions towards it. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that you should learn in like day one of being in charge of a national fucking newspaper, or being a politician if they were quoting someone. I mean, you just don't do that. You don't take a horrific, painful, one of the most horrifically painful I can't say incidents, episodes of the 20th century, and then make allusions to it about fucking fish. Fuck off. Feels good to be able to swear on this, actually. UK now in meltdown mode, absolutely. And loads of people just thought it wouldn't happen. No, it won't happen. It's okay, it won't happen. It definitely won't happen. It won't happen. A lot of people in these companies said, if it happens, we will leave. And the people in charge said, oh, it's all right, it won't happen, it won't happen. I think that the people who wanted this to happen, thought that it wasn't going to happen, so they could just say what the fuck they liked, and it never really mattered to them whether it was true or not, because it would never have to be tested. But now, all we have left of this whole fucking clusterfuck is fish. That's it. 0.01% of our fucking GDP. Fish. I tell you what, if this goes ahead and we crash out without a deal or whatever, I'm never eating a fish again as long as I live. If I ever see a fish again, I'll punch it in its stupid face. I know I shouldn't blame the fish, but, I can't be put in jail for punching a fish in the face. Bloody fish. But maybe just herrings. Maybe I'll just take it out on every herring I see. Oh, come here, you nasty little herring. In the Mail this week, we saw the food that we're going to be able to eat next year, and the food we won't. And you know what was on the food we won't be able to eat list? Fish and fucking chips. Yeah, from your chippy. Chippy fish and chips. Won't be able to eat them anymore. Won't be able to get fish and chips because 90% of our cod is imported. He must protect our fish at all costs. John Barleycorn said UVDL should have gotten Boris the Liar so drunk he'd have signed anything. If I was in charge of the EU, right, I will get him drunk, give him some cocaine, which he'll take, get a load of whores to, dance round and piss on him or something, and then film it all and stream it live to the nation. And then all these little old grannies and grandfathers who go to church each week and, very Christian, you'd be like, here's your Prime Minister, he's the guy you voted for. And then they can't turn their back on that. They can't turn around and go, but I still like him, which, they know he's a creep. They know he's a sexual predator. They know he beats his partners. He's a horrible, horrible piece of shit man. And they know this, but I don't think they've seen it. So I would set him up. That's what I'd do. But, I'm not in charge. I hope to help with that. So you got to get a new election. Yes, we do have to get a new election. Or, the Tories have got an 80 majority. So I think if we manage to force by-elections in 40 seats, so 40 seats, that's doable, and we get the Tories to lose in those 40 seats, then, equilibrium will be re-established. Taki says, hello, Graham. Hello, Taki. Sugar-free, that would have been funny. Then it'll have an even bigger majority. Didn't think of that. Yeah. When Scotland leaves, Boris Johnson's going to have an even bigger majority. Is that Carlsberg? Yes, it is. It's Carlsberg Lager from Denmark. It's not from Denmark. It's made in Britain, but it's called Carlsberg. Pardon me. Gaz says Brexit is also unnecessary and depressing. Yeah, it's just the shittest idea of all time, ever. And everyone who voted for Remain, you get these people who go, I voted for Remain, but after seeing the way the EU has treated us, I'm minded to vote for Leave now. And you're like, yeah, you never voted Remain. Piss off. And now you're going to get loads of people claiming that they never voted to Leave. Well, we know who did. We know who voted to Leave. We should all make lists. Boris the Liar will be gone by the end of the year. He's a liability to the Tory party. They're only keeping him on to take the blame for Brexit and the COVID handling. I don't know. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Reagan says, sorry to hear about your dad. Yeah, it's a bit shit. But you know what? He's 84. He had a good innings. He was a nutter. He was a nutter. I don't know where I get it from. But he used to go and do whatever he wanted to do. He was a motor racer. He learned to fly. He used to climb all these mountains all over Wales and Europe and stuff. He packed a lot. He packed a lot into his life. So in some ways, he was a bit of an inspiration. And as I've said before, if he hadn't got ill in 2016, we'd be having such furious rows over Brexit. My mum would dread me coming home. She'd be like, "Oh, Graham, can you not mention the B word?" I'll be like, "Okay, I'll try and hold it in. And then I get about like half an hour into dinner, and I'll be like, "So, how's Brexit?" Janet Feeney, hi from Vancouver. Hi, Janet. Oh, it's so good to see your message there. You should give us a call, Janet. So that's a family friend from Liverpool who's lived in Canada for at least 2 years, I think. She's far too young to have been there any longer than that. But yeah, Janet's very, very, very typical Scouser, I'll say. But unfortunately, she's a cop-eyes. But, we still get on. It's possible. Moa said, I noticed that in Westfield, London, quite a few youngsters without masks. Yeah, little bloody youngsters. And we can't wait till I'm an old person so I can shake my fist at young people and mutter things like, students. But I'm not old enough to do that, really, with any kind of, gravitas. Jane Mayer, this is from John. Jane Mayer, excellent investigative journalist and author, has dug deep into dark money and pulled investigators of Brexit, the instigators of Brexit and Trump together. Yeah, absolutely, it's all the same people. Don't forget, when Trump was elected, the Duma, the Russian parliament, stood up and gave the round of applause. They gave a round of applause. Can you believe that? What? Hey, what? What? How the... And that's okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's normal. That's what they normally do when a president gets elected in America. Didn't do it for Biden, though. Same here. People in Liverpool stop wearing masks. Yeah, punchable face Boris. Well, that's one of my that's going to be one of my categories in the See You Next Tuesday awards at the end of the year. Is going to be the person with the most punchable face, and I think Boris is probably going to do quite well on that. Natalie Hilgard League says, here, any age without masks. Oh, that's no good. Pull the plug and let England sink, please. That's from Jojo. David says, so how do you get yourself in the Independent today? Oh, well, thank you, David. Yes, I was in the Independent today. I wasn't going to say, I totally was, but I was in the Independent today. Not in, because you don't publish it anymore because everything's gone online. There was an article about stockpiling, and I did a couple of things about stockpiling back in March last year when we were originally going to our first cliff edge Brexit. This is the third time this fucking thing has happened where it's looked like we're going to leave the EU without a deal and had to take preparations because of it. And so the first time round, I had people at CNN come to the house. I did an interview for the One Show with Joe, who's in charge of the 48% preppers group, and it was just explaining why it's not like it's not like I filled my entire house full of bog roll or anything, but there's going to be shortages. Even if we got a deal, there's going to be shortages. So it's really worth making sure you got enough stuff. One thing I didn't think of that I thought of today, light bulbs. Because when I was setting up for Hughes round on Friday or Thursday, the light bulb broke on one of my lights here. And I had to get another light bulb, and I had to take it out from another light socket in the house because I didn't have any spares. So there's something. I think that anything you normally have a spare, whether that is fuel, whether that is medication, whether that's just food that you normally get, have some spare, have a little bit more than you need, because there's a good chance you'll go to the supermarket next month and whatever it is that you need, whether it's matches or whether it's light bulbs or whether it's, I don't know, yeast, they might not have it. So just make sure you've got enough of it before we do go over that cliff edge. Because don't forget, whether we get a deal or no deal, there's going to be friction at the borders. We're putting up obstacles, barriers to just-in-time delivery routes, and we are not prepared. We are so not ready for this. Europe is, by the way. The EU countries, they've been preparing for years, months, if not years. Whereas we're just taking it easy. We're just taking the easy way out, as we always do. I'm sorry I'm so behind in the messages here. I have a tendency to go off on one about something. I don't want to spend the whole time reading, and I don't want to spend the whole time going off on one. This is why I need an editor. I need I keep saying this, I need a producer so they can go through the messages and say, read this one. Or just give me a list of names to say hello to. No. The irony of it, if it was not because of Brexit, I would not have met you, Graham. That's from Moaz. Well, yeah, that's true. I made a lot of new friends through Brexit. Thank you, Brexit, I guess. You horrible, horrible thing. But it's weird the way you go through life and you pick up new people in different things, from like your work, your university, your school. And now we've got a lot of friends who we wouldn't have otherwise had from the anti-Brexit movement, or the pro-EU movement, as I prefer to call it. The EU took your hair. To Chris, the bastards. They also took my happiness, and they killed my dog. I had a puppy, and that was it. The EU came along and brought in a directive saying that sardines in a can had to be stacked a certain way, north to west, and because they weren't stacked the right way, and the bananas weren't bendy enough, and the filament wasn't bright enough in the light bulb, and the lawnmowers weren't. There's a lawnmower thing. This is a lawnmower story. I read about this. So apparently, one of the things that the Brexiteers said is, they won't let us have powerful lawnmowers, the EU. They've got this directive saying we can't have really powerful lawnmowers. Grrr. And someone did some digging into this. Turns out we the British, right, put in a thing into the EU asking for the maximum HP of a lawnmower to be set at a certain level. Why did we do that? Well, because we made lawnmowers that were, say, 100 HP, and the Germans made one that was 125. So they were like, oh, well, we're gonna make it so that you can't have a 1251 to screw over the German manufacturers of lawnmowers. So we did that. We put in that rule where you pushed for that rule to be brought in. It was brought in. We said it was for environmental considerations, but really our ulterior motive was to sell more lawnmowers than the Germans. And and then a few years later we're going, oh, these bloody Europeans not letting us have our powerful lawnmowers. And it's like, but we asked for that. In the same way that it was a British lawyer that wrote the bulk of the Lisbon Treaty, and also as a British lawyer who wrote the bloody human rights, the European Convention on Human Rights was mostly written by a British lawyer. But we don't want to do those things. Grrr, go away, Europe, making us do these things that we invent. Graham, when do you think Operation Tories will start taking fight to them? It's felt very weak so far. That's from Donald. Yeah, it has felt very weak, and I don't know. I was back in the October this year. I had COVID, and I had a few days where I was just a bit out of it. And I was just thinking, why is no one doing anything? But then I got it because it's hard when there's COVID. I think that if COVID hadn't hit, we would be on the streets and it'd be getting more and more intense. I don't want to do this thing where we just have a protest every now and again. I think it needs to start being like every week in every city in the country, and really, really try and push to get more people to join us, not just people who voted to remain, but people who voted to leave but have changed their minds or seen the error of their ways. Now, I'm not the best person to get those people on board. I'm really not. Femi's much better. Mike Galsworthy's much better. And it's just a case of trying to get the people who are best at doing those things together to go and do them. So I don't know. The Remain movement was historically fragmented. I'm just hoping the Rejoin movement doesn't go the same way. So I'd like to see everyone just get together, and it doesn't matter who organises something. It doesn't matter, who puts something on. There's something going on. We support each other, and there's enough groups still in the country. All these, little EU groups. They're not that little actually, but Liverpool for Europe, Manchester for Europe, Leeds for Europe. All of these groups just keep pushing next year as soon as we are able to. I'm really, really making a fuss. One of the biggest problems we've got is that there's so few people on the Remain side who go on TV, or Rejoin, I guess now, who go on TV and talk about it. James O'Brien doesn't talk about it on TV. It drives me mad. He doesn't do debates with leavers because he said there's no point. There is a point. There really is a point, because you make them look like twats on national TV. And then that clip of you making them look like a twat goes viral, and everyone's seen that clip of you making them look like a twat. If we had a proper BBC that actually did its fucking job, you wouldn't need to, because the journalists would actually, or the interviewers would actually ask the questions that they should ask and put these politicians and spivs and spin doctors and dickheads and wankers on the spot, but they don't. They just sort of sit there like it's the 1950s and go, would the minister like to say anything? And then they listen. And then they go, thank you. And then it ends, and I'm like, why didn't you challenge him? Just lied. I know he lied. It's not my job to say that this person's lying, but I know he's lied. I could go from the top of my head and give him some stats to show that he was lying, be able to back it up. Be able to say, stop there, right? You just lied. I want you to apologise for lying to me, lying to the viewers. And this interview is not going to go on until you apologise for lying, because you just told a flat out lie. Oh my God, could we see that, please, one day? But the only people that you see on TV, and in fact, I say people, the only person that seems to be doing this is Femi. Femi goes out and he actually appears on the Jeremy Vine show, and he actually takes these Brexiteers to task about their bullshit beliefs and this British exceptionalism and this nonsense that's spewing out of their faces all the time on our televisions and in our newspapers. So no, we need more of that. We need more people on the TV. We need more people making a fuss. I think there's a tendency to be British about it and go, I'm sure I'm not particularly good at this, but I should. But the thing is, what the people who have been to these posh private institutions to be educated have in spades is confidence. They're misplaced confidence because they're dickheads, But this is the problem with the Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it? The most stupid people are so confident of their position, and the people who actually know what they're talking about are crippled by self-doubt. So yeah, there's a few things we can do, but I think that getting together at least once a week and all chatting on here, coming up with ideas, what we can do. It was an episode of Hughes Round, which is at 1 o'clock on weekdays now, where someone suggested doing a march. So I was like, great, let's see what we can do. I've got the URL now, started putting the website together. We get, I've got the stage bus, which we hired for the Manchester March in September 2019. The guy from that got in touch with me and said, yeah, let's do it. Just, let me know what you need. That means we've got a stage, we've got PA. I'm sure we can get people to talk in a valley. Then it's just a case of emailing the police and telling them that we're going to do it. That's it, really. I mean, it's not like we have to pay to buy the street to walk down. We just say we're doing it, really. I think that's something that we really need to do next year, is just really make our voices heard and agitate and stir people up. I mean, really stir people up. One of the reasons why the Tories backheeled the poll tax is because there were riots in Kent. There were riots in Kent, for God's sake. Now, can you see any analogies with that and what's happening right now, or analogues? I don't know what the right word is there. Maybe an analogue with what's happening right now. Because in Kent, they're getting absolutely fucked over, left, right and centre, by Brexit. And you start pointing this out to people and they can't deny it. Their county is being screwed over by the Brexit that they fucking well voted for. So when we reach a critical mass, and I'm not saying that anyone should riot, obviously that's bad, I don't want any violence, I don't want any destruction, I think it's always unfair when people smash up someone's shop because of something that Boris Johnson's done. Boris Johnson doesn't own a shop, he's just a scumbag, he'll have money, whatever. You could burn down all the banks in Britain, Boris Johnson will still have money because it's scribbled away in the Cayman Islands or something. I'm just going to skip some messages here to see if I can find some where I picked up what I'm talking about getting the Rejoin movement together. I know there's a Rejoin Twitter account, which I've been asked if I want to take over, so I'm going to look into that. I've not responded yet, if you're watching this, sorry. And also there is a Rejoin Facebook page, and I think we need to start getting the Facebook pages, not together as in all in one Facebook page, because this is something that me and Mike Galsworthy found a couple of years ago when we started helping out the Remain Facebook accounts. And that wasn't a couple of years ago. Was that a year? It was about, God, it was a couple of years ago. Time flies. Basically what we found is that if you just have one group, it's too easy for Facebook to just like shut it down if you do something that they're not happy with, or mute you because you won't pay for their ads. Not mute you, but a shadow ban or something. So what's worth doing is having lots of groups that are local, and so Liverpool for Europe and all that, just give them more support, which worked really well. And then when we have a big march, we all come together, all the different groups, and we make our presence felt, which we really need to do. But I'm furious. I'm furious, and I'm sitting here and I'm really aware of the fact that I can't just say what I really feel. But you can probably guess, and I from my tone. But I don't want to stand for this anymore. I really don't want to stand for this. So if you can read between the lines in what I'm saying here, this has got to stop. I don't want my stepkids growing up in this Britain, in a Britain that is divided. It's so full of hate, it's so full of stupidity, it's so full of just absolute narcissistic rage about, oh God, the war, obsession with the fucking war, and the fact that we're putting trade sanctions on ourselves. And the question for 2021 should be, how can we create a better environment for our children to grow up in? How can we make schooling better? How can we improve healthcare outcomes for people who are ill? But instead of that, British money, the British taxpayers' money, public purse money, is being taken from health, from education, from infrastructure, and it's being given now by the government to failing companies, which are failing because of fucking Brexit. And that's the future we've got for our kids now. We've got a country that is isolated, that's not part of anything anymore. It used to be part of the most successful trading union in the world. The only trading union where you got a fucking direct vote for who made the decisions about what we did. But no, that wasn't democratic enough. Let's go to the WTO, where we have one representative. Well, effectively, we have one seat out of 164. Yeah, great, good on you. Do we vote for that representative now? Just gets appointed by the Prime Minister. Well, that's nice. Thor says, fishing, you export 70 to 80% of your catch to the EU. If one of your gunboats do anything to EU fishing boats, you can forget about selling your catch to the EU. Exactly. It's just, isn't it, Thor? It's just crazy, isn't it? I'm going to skip a few because I want to get off fish. Graham, what have you got against fish from Iceland? I don't. Okay, just herring. I'm just going to punch a herring. Games Workshop, Warhammer PLC makes more money than the fishing industry put together. In fact, I found that today. Yeah, Donald, I read that as well. I mentioned it earlier. Sounds like the Blackadder sketch with the Bishop of Bath and Wells. Bend over, Blackadder. I was talking about us eating more fish and lamb next year. No idea about economic gravity. Oh, Mazid, yeah. So this is a presenter. I should explain. Davin's just mentioning Majid Nawaz, who is a presenter on LBC, who is just a twat, and he's all for Brexit for some reason, and he thinks it's going to be great. And anyone who tries to explain to him that it's not going to be great, he kind of cuts off the call. It's the opposite of what James O'Brien does, where he literally just asks people to just stay on the call. He'll keep asking them the same question over and over again. They'll keep ignoring it and just digging the ditch, digging the hole deeper and deeper. Yeah, but no, he's and he seems to be a bit of a Trump supporter as well. He seems to be like quite gung-ho for Trump, which is quite disturbing. Carlsberg is brewed in Northampton. Well, there you go. That's from David Murphy. The Freckle Puny says, Brexiteers keep fighting World War II as they love basking in other people's glories, no matter how long ago, like a footy hooligan smashing up a bar in Paris thinking they were part of the Normandy landings. Yeah, exactly. Well, wasn't there someone who said, I think, was it, it was actually a tweet, that a reply to one of my tweets, saying that Britain and France are not allies. We've been fighting, we've always been fighting, and it's like, actually, since 1850, Britain and France have been allies. In fact, in World War II, we were part of a group called the Allies. In the First World War, we were part of the group. Was it the Alliance? Was it in the First World War? It had a name because there was the Russian, France, British Triple Alliance, and then you had the Triple Entente, or maybe the Triple Entente. Anyway, the point being, in the last two big wars, we were on the same side as France. They were our allies. So turning around and go, we've always been fighting the French. It just shows an incredible lack of knowledge and integrity about history. And ignore history at your peril, because he who ignores history is doomed to repeat it, or whatever the phrase was. Oh God, John le Carré's died. Oh, thanks, Charlie Nelson. Oh, it's to John le Carré. Fantastic author and Remainer. Why do the people that we like have to die? Why can't someone I don't like die for a change? God damn it. We can have a little sort of morbid party. Gove, everyone where I work is still Brexit mad and Tory fanboys. The sad thing is the ordinary workers in a warehouse, not wealthy or retirees. Yeah, Patrick, listen, Patrick Baker. I know. I talk to people around here in Durham and they're like, yeah, Brexit's going to be great. And they're the people who are going to be most fucked over by it. I think the middle classes are going to be the most fucked off by it, but the most fucked over are going to be the people working those difficult jobs for very little money. Much more difficult than being Prime Minister of this stupid country. I'm going to skip because obviously I've got loads of messages here. I'm really sorry. I really appreciate all the messages, I really do, but I've only got so much time. Let's see. Let's try and not go right to the end. Have they announced what the state of negotiations is? That's from, what's that, really? Basically, at the moment, they've said they're going to keep negotiating. Because they were supposed to stop today no matter what, but then they didn't, because the EU doesn't want a failed state on its doorstep, and the UK is desperate. It's so desperate that the Prime Minister of the UK is calling up European leaders in desperation. You know, like when no one's come to your party and you start calling people up that you hadn't actually invited to your party, but you're like, do you want to come to this party? And they're like, no, I wasn't invited. I heard about it, but I wasn't invited, so I'm not coming by. Well, it's a bit like that, except the person who answered the phone was the person's mum, and the mum told you that. Put the phone down. That's what's happened to Boris Johnson, and he's having a party now, and no one's come. It's just him on his own with his PlayStation. Tim Balance says, did you see the Screw the People who look after the Commonwealth war graves? Yeah, this is another one, Tim. I mean, there isn't enough time to go through all this. I've only got 9 minutes left of this show. So Commonwealth war graves are looked after all over the world, and particularly in France. And yeah, the government has cut the budget for people working on the Commonwealth war graves. The upkeep of them. I don't know if this is connected to the cut from 0.7% to 0.5% of our GDP, which was supposed to go to overseas aid. But I've got at least one friend who works overseas whose job is in question now because of that cut. And the thing is, it's a percentage. It's not an absolute number, it's a percentage. So the more the country makes, the more it gives an overseas aid, which is always a good for the reasons that I discussed in Hughes Ten last month. It's a good thing to try and look after countries around the world, not in a patronising nanny state way, but just give them support in the same way that it's good to give businesses support or just people support in whatever they're trying to do, because it's hard to go it alone, as Britain is about to discover. Absolutely top marks for your ethics, Graham. Thanks, Peter. Did you write that before or after I just sort of said, read between the lines? Some extremists want some bloody nonsense called cans cook. That sounds great, doesn't it? I wouldn't put that into Pornhub. Anyway, so yeah, this is the idea that these wonderful Commonwealth nations of Canada and New Zealand and Australia, the English-speaking ones, will all get together and have this great trade union. The only problem being is that the population of Canada is 40 million, I think, and the population of Australia is about 25 million, and the population of New Zealand is 4.7 million. So put it together, it's about 70 million. And half of them are on the other side of the world. But okay, right, 70 million, that's a good starting point, isn't it? Well, that's about the population of France. It's a bit less than the population of Germany, but it's a lot less than the 450 million people who live in the EU. Hey, but we've got a trade deal with Mongolia and the Ivory Coast and North Macedonia. Yay! It's ironic that two worst major countries in the world right now begin with U. It all begins with U. Thanks for that. Oh, you mean like UK? Yeah, US. Yeah, the very United States, where Trump supporters went out last night and 4 people got stabbed. I think it was 4 people got stabbed. These fucking loonies saying that Trump won the election. It's thrown out by the Supreme Court on Friday. Thank God. Like, what do they want? They're like, oh, yeah, and they're turning on the GOP. I hope that the Tories are watching this, because now that their Lord and Saviour Trump has been dethroned, they're turning their ire onto the GOP. And there was a chant yesterday, I think, of a bunch of Trump people with the MAGA hats on, going, yeah, destroy the GOP, destroy the GOP. I think that's what they were chanting. Brilliant. I was like, yeah, okay, I agree with this. Whatever. It's like Mr. Muscle doing the jobs I don't want to do. The triple entente. Thank you. When do you expect civil unrest? I'd not be surprised if you have riots in the first 2 months. That's some thought. Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be, as soon as lockdown's over as well, I think a lot of people are going to get very pissed off very quickly. And you know, we can't encourage this, and I don't want to encourage this. I want to encourage peaceful protests. But the problem is, we had peaceful protests and we were ignored. We weren't just ignored by the bloody Tories, which are kind of expected. We were ignored by Labour, by the other fucking big party, the party that should have been on our side, but it wasn't, because it was led by that Cretin. I'm not going to say his name anymore. He's still around. What's he doing? Remember seeing a tweet about the days when, before we joined the EEC back in the early 70s, and Maggie Thatcher had to open her cupboards to show she wasn't hoarding food as the UK had food shortages. Oh my God. Should we do that? Should we do that to make sure Boris Johnson's not hoarding food? Actually, he'll probably live for about 2 months, wouldn't he, on his supplies. What's it called? Love handles. The Freckle Puny says, rotten on the dock of the bay. That's good, that. Rotten on the dock of the bay. I thought about having We'll Eat Again, Vera Lynn, tribute. That'll be our new national anthem. I also did, if anyone's following me on Facebook, I did a version of I Want to Break Free, which was translated into Scots, which is quite funny. So if any of my Scottish friends want to borrow that and use it, it does work. It does work. Who was the first soldiers to invade Germany in World War II? The French in 1939. There you go. True story. Graham Hughes, please read Glasgow Kisser's message. I don't know where it is. Oh no. I'm trying to... am I going to have to do a fine thing? You're going to have to reiterate. Do you want to put it up again? Sorry. Okay, don't forget the trade deal with China. So much for sovereignty. Well, any trade deal that you have, you give up a bit of sovereignty. Of course you do, because it's like, we want this, you want that. Okay, we'll come together with some compromise. We'll give up some things, and you give up some things, and we'll all trade together. If you just want to base things purely on sovereignty, you're not going to get very far, especially when you're on a country that geology doesn't like. Should we put it that way? Well, the geology isn't bountiful too. But then again, you've got countries that have got great geology. They've got gold and diamonds and coltan, and they're still poor as hell. So I don't think that's a particularly good argument, Graham. I will make a better one. I will form it in my head overnight and try and display it tomorrow morning. But what I was trying to say is basically, the idea of sovereignty, the idea of being able to make money by yourself through an internal market is just bonkers. So we buy stuff from another country, we bring it into the country, and then we sell it to someone, and then they give us money, and then they buy some more stuff from another country. Okay, so we're going to stop that because that's bad. So instead of doing that, we're just going to make stuff in the country, and then we're going to sell it in the country, and the money's just going to stay in the country. How does the economy grow? I don't get how you get growth from that unless we find some gold or something. New raw materials. I don't know. Maybe we could just start making James Bond films ourselves instead of relying on United Artists to make them for us, or MGM, whoever makes them these days. Graham, do you know a channel called Maximilian Robespierre? Yeah. He would love to do an interview with you. Someone's mentioned Max before. Yeah, I'd love to have a chat. That's fine with me, as long as he's not a raging Brexiteer. Then it wouldn't be a chat, it'd be a debate. I'm always up for a debate. The trade deal with Japan is 87% in favour of Japan, according to Phil Morehouse, a different bias. Yeah, Phil, I watch Phil's videos. He's very, very good. And I would like to get Phil on one of these and just have a chat with him for an hour about the ridiculousness of it all. I do try not to tread on the same things that because he's put videos out pretty much every day now. I try not to go over the same thing that Phil's talked about. But my thing is that this is an interactive thing, so it's a little bit different from Phil's, but I do really recommend A Different Bias, the YouTube channel. He puts up videos pretty much every day where he just basically tells it like it is. Is he from Yorkshire? Is he a Yorkshire lad? The shower is always an alternative. Wait, I missed the beginning of that conversation. We've swapped a market of 31 nations for one that doesn't even cover the whole of the UK. Yes, John, that's completely right, because it doesn't cover Northern Ireland, which is a whole episode of this on its own. Stop trying to make sense of insanity. It'll drive you crazy, that says Sugar Free. Well, that's true, isn't it, Sugar Free? This thing about when you fall in love with someone who is a bit crazy and you think, it's okay, I can make them not crazy because I'm not crazy. It doesn't work. They just make you crazy. So, yeah, good luck. Phil Spicer says, A Different Bias is very good. It is. It's impossible for the UK to manufacture everything itself. It is. It is literally impossible. We don't have the raw materials. And Alexander Morgan says, night, Graham. It's very final. Okay, before I go, I'm just going to, I don't know if this is going to mess up my feed here, but I hope it doesn't. I'm just going to nip over to my Patreon account. I'm going to put the link into the chat. Where is the chat? Oh no, I'm looking at myself on the video and there's like a delay. And it's really weird. Oh, it's so weird. Okay, so this is my Patreon account. I've just put up a message there that should go out on all platforms, I hope. And if I go to there, I just want to say before I go, because it's 11 o'clock, it's time to wrap up. I just want to say thank you to Thomas Page and Malik Gimmons and Hayden Williams, who have become my my new patrons over the weekend. Thank you so much, and a big shout out as well to Johan, to Sally, to James, to Elizabeth, to Chris, to Chubai, to David, to Attila, to Daniel, to Derek, to Paul Mason, to Alex Green, to Jartan, to Alexander Morgan. Oh, he's gone. Sorry. Hi, Alex. Bye, Alex. Betty Biscuit, Compute Art, Andrew AB, and Darren Christian. Thank you so much for supporting my Patreon account and making this possible, making it possible for me to do this every day, every night, whenever. This has been fantastic. The response has been overwhelming. It's more chats, it's more messages than I can actually get through. I haven't even finished I'm like halfway through my beer because I've been talking so much. Oh, Elizabeth says we love you. Oh, thank you. Hope my girlfriend's not watching this. But yeah, thank you, Graham, and all. Very enjoyable. Yeah, I love it when people chat as well in the messages with each other, because obviously you can at each other in the messages, which is great. Can anyone tell me what happened today? Are we officially sodded? No, before I go, no. What's happened today is good, because we were supposed to stop negotiations today, and it was decided, because Boris has panicked and shat his pants, that the negotiations are going to continue. I do think we're going to get a deal. Okay, I'm not 100%, but I do think we will get a wafer-thin deal. It won't be great, but there's still going to be disruption as a result of it. Pulling out the single market and the customs union is a lie. It's something that wasn't put forward in the Brexit debate at the time in 2016. It wasn't put forward. In fact, people who were trying to get people to vote to leave the EU said that leaving the customs union, leaving the single market was not in question. That wasn't going to happen. It is happening now, and it's going to have absolutely devastating effects on the UK. And I tell you, if we were going for a Norway model and we were going to have some kind of, we were going to be part of the single market, and we paid into it, but we didn't get any representation, I think that's a bit shit. But the other part of me will think, well, yeah, it is a bit shit, but I'm not going to be making bloody live YouTube shows every night, whinging about it and going on marches. I'll be like, okay, fair enough. We'll agitate to get back into the EU one day. Didn't feel like that would be so urgent, but this really is urgent. We need to get back into the EU as soon as humanly possible, and the time that we're going to spend out of the EU from January the 1st onwards, every day of that is going to be an absolute fucking nightmare, and it's all because of a bunch of very, very rich Tories who decided that they wanted to wreck the country for their own financial gain. So there you go. I'm going to... I'm a quarter through my beer. Hurry up, Pete. Okay, so I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to hit stop recording. So thank you... Stop streaming, sorry. I thought I pressed the wrong button. So thank you very, very much for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. for Hughes Round, which is every day, every weekday. And then if you can't catch that, you can catch up and not repeat, whatever. You can watch it later. You don't have to watch it live. If you want to take part, you have to watch it live. And I'll be back for another episode of this, Hughes at 10 on Sunday. What's the date today? Is it the 13th? Sunday the 20th, I think. Just in time for Christmas. Yay, I love Christmas. It's going to be really miserable this year. Keep smiling through. And until next time, hello, good evening,